Hello, this is a video to show you an overview of the Digger asset and also a few different modules of Digger. And so I just created this scene for the sake of this video. So this is just a terrain that was made with Unity terrain tools. Of course, I could have done this with any other tool like Gaia or MapMagic or whatever suits your needs. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that it is just nothing more in the end than a built-in Unity terrain. And Digger is made to allow you to dig holes and add overhangs in just standard Unity terrains, which obviously is not possible out of the box without Digger. So first of all, I will just add Digger to the scene. So it is just one click away to set up the Digger. There are three options actually here, depending on the version of Digger you have. If you only have Digger Core, you will only be able to click on Setup Terrains. But if you have the Runtime module or Digger Pro, you will be able to click on Setup for Runtime or Setup NavMesh components, which will basically, allow you to dig at runtime if you need it for your gameplay. For now, we're just going to watch what we can do in the editor. So I'm going to just click on Setup Terrains. All right. What has basically been done is that the default terrain shader has been replaced by the strictly equivalent shader. The only difference is that it supports triplanar mapping, which is required to get nice results like on vertical slopes and on inside caves or whatever. It also created a Digger master object, which is all you need to interact with Digger tools. So I selected the Digger master object. So it opens the Digger inspector, which is composed of three tabs: Edit, Settings, and Help. We're just going to go through the Edit tab right now, because that's all what we need to start digging. All right. So the first thing you see is that you can select different operations. Here you have the dig, add, paint, paint holes, smooth operation, which are the basic operations included with any Digger version. And if you also have the Digger Advanced Operation module, you will have Spline and Easy-Overhangs Operation. The set cube operation is like, it's a secret one for now. I won't talk about it right now, but it will come in another module later. All right, so let's start simple. The dig operation is the simplest, but probably most used one. You can select a different shape, a different brush to dig. So I will just pick up the sphere for now and click here. So I get the same radius everywhere to have a real sphere. And then I will pick up some texture I want to use. So this is exactly the same texture than what is defined in my terrain settings. This is important to understand that Diggers take the texture that are defined as terrain layers in your terrain settings and in the same order. This is important because what it means is that if you have multiple terrains in your scene, you will have to edit them to have the same terrain layers on all your terrains, and in the same order. Otherwise, Digger will probably won't work properly. All right, so I will just pick up the rock texture here and, well, start digging. Okay, so as simple as that. I can lower the opacity if I want to dig like more smoothly. Okay, so gentle diggings. All right. So you see, you can create like caves very easily and very quickly. Of course, I can do something a lot bigger, not a problem. Okay. And you can get interesting shape if you lower the height of the brush. For example, let's say I put this and a radius like this. Okay, it is quite useful to create caves that look a bit more natural. All right, you see, it is easier to shape caves this way. Of course, you can go through the mountain and see on the other side. So it really what you get is really like it's real holes. There is no no fake hole or whatever. It's like real. You can go through. Okay. And well, that's basically what you get. What Digger does behind the scene is that it actually cut the terrain surface and replace the cut surface with a custom mesh for the cave. So I can show you this by selecting the Digger object, which is created as a child of the terrain object. If I hide it, you see what actually Digger does. It cut the terrain surface using the built-in terrain hole tool that comes with Unity terrains, and it creates meshes that are seamless with the terrain and integrate perfectly in your terrain. So you have the feeling that you have actually a single mesh for everything. All right, so let's go back to Digger Master and show a different operation like the add operation. Well, basically it's very easy to understand that this is the exact opposite of the dig operation. So I will just pick up like anyway this texture just to change, and okay, so this is thanks to this you can create like overhangs very quickly. And of course, you can also pick up a different shape, whatever, like a rounded cube will create something like this. And you can adjust the size to, well, to do whatever different, whatever you need, okay, something like this. Anyway, you can do pretty much anything you can do with a voxel terrain, which is the power of Digger. It brings the power of voxel terrains directly inside the Unity terrains. You can, of course, paint a different texture. Okay, so let's get back the sphere and adjust the radius. And let's say I want to add grass here. All right, so this is basically what you can do. You cannot paint the terrain itself. You can only paint the Digger meshes with this tool. This is done on purpose to avoid modifying the terrain while you only want to actually modify the Digger meshes. All right. Another interesting basic operation is a paint hole operation, which is very basic but can be very useful. Let's say you want to actually add the entrance of an artificial underground building inside your cave. well, you will need to let your player enter your building. So you will need to actually cut the surface of this mesh. So this is what you can do with the paint holes operation. You just click and you see the mesh is cut. Obviously, you will need to handle the entrance properly, but at least, well, you can do it. And you can, of course, undo it. All right. The smooth operation, well, I think you guessed why it is useful. Okay, you can just smooth out everything very easily in a few clicks. All right. So, well, I think that's it for the basic operation that comes with Digger Core. And if you have Digger Pro or Digger Runtime module, you can do all of this at runtime, which means you can integrate all of these tools directly in your gameplay. All right, so I'm gonna clear everything I did until now. All right. And now I'm going to show you a few more tools that comes with the Advanced Operation module, the Spline and the Easy-Overhangs operations. Let's start with the Easy-Overhangs operation. As the name suggests, it is made to create overhangs very easily on cliffs, so you need to use it on places where your terrain has actually big slopes like this. And let's say, yeah, I can pick up just the grass texture and pick up like a bigger one, whatever, and just start taking like this. And as you see, it's very very smooth, very gentle. But you know, the purpose here is not to dig a cave or whatever, it's just to create overhangs. And if I go there, you see, this is interesting because we start having really really vertical cliff. And I will just lower the brush size a bit, okay, and keep going. All right. And as you see, now I'm starting to have nice overhangs, okay? I think this is very interesting in terms of level design because you can, you can, well, add overhangs in your cliffs, which already happens in the real world. So that's quite powerful, you see? All right. You can also use this to create a path to let your player climb along the mountain, for example. So let's say I'm just using to create a path like this. Okay, let's just imagine the player will be able to to follow this to climb along the mountain. All right. If I go here, as you see, it's very useful, very handy. Your player can just walk there and, well, walk along the mountain. And it was just in a few seconds that I did this. So this is an Easy-Overhangs operation, and I think it can save you a lot of time. All right, let's clear it again. And now go through the spline operation. This is a very interesting one, and I think one of the most powerful operation. First of all, let's see how to create a spline with Digger. So you go on Tools, Digger, Create Bezier Spline. All right. So I have a spline which is here. I think it's a bit far away, so let's just reset its position and move it somewhere more interesting. All right, wait a bit up and there. All right, okay. Okay, so for now the spline is not very interesting because it only have one point, but it's already good to notice that when the point is above the surface, it is white, and when it goes below the surface, it becomes gray, like darker. This is easier to see where the spline is actually located compared to the terrain surface. All right, so you can add more points, of course. And when you select a point, you can just, move it and create like a custom spline just like this. And you can also change the way points are connected together. So let's say I want to be connected with align mode, and I can then, let's zoom a little bit. Okay, I can then change the connection this way to give a more round shape, for example, or whatever. So you can really create the shape you want, the spline you want here. And once you're happy, I'm going to show you how to use this spline inside Digger. Before going there, one more interesting feature I want to show you is the procedural generation. In just one click, you can entirely generate a spline that will look more or less like a cave, and that you can still customize. So let's just click on it, generate cave. Okay, so I have a new spline entirely generated procedurally. Well, you can of course customize it manually. You can still move points, okay? But here, what I want to do is to actually change the procedural generation settings to have something that suits my needs. I want to have a cave that is more, let's say, flat. So I want to reduce the altitude variation frequency. I want to also reduce the min-max altitude variation. So let's put this like this. And well, so I click on generate cave. Okay, so this is basically the same cave, except that it is really flat now. And if I change any feed, you'll see it generate just a very different shape every time a seed is different. So this is very useful to create something very quickly instead of having to go through it manually. Anyway, I'm going to delete this spline because I created a few splines in advance just to show you. So the first one is cave in the mountain. So it's right there. Okay. So I created this one to show you what we can do to create a cave inside a mountain. Okay, so let's just use it in Digger. You select Digger Master, and then you select the Spline Operation. Then I will put here the spline I want to use. So this is a spline cave in the mountain. All right, so now it is displayed. And I will say, well, I want to dig along this spline with a sphere brush using the texture rock, radius, let's say 6. Okay, I can even, let's say the height will be a bit lower. Opacity, let's put it to 1. And then, once I'm ready, I click on Perform Operation along the spline. All right, this is done. So basically a cave has been created along the spline. If I go below the terrain, you will see it better. You see that a cave has been created. Okay, I can just go inside. And of course, your player will be able to go inside as well. Okay, so this is very useful, I think, to create caves very quickly and being very more precise than if you do it manually. All right. Another interesting one is I want to, let's say, create a natural bridge. All right. So I just created a very simple spline here. I want to create a bridge above the canyon. So I select this spline in Digger. All right. Let's say I want, yes, this texture and this time I will just use the rounded cube operation, and I will do something quite flat. Well, that's it. And now I can just click on perform operation along the spline. Oh, I missed it. I let the dig operation. I don't want to dig here. I actually want to add. Of course, I want to create a bridge. So just pick add and perform operation. All right, so I have a natural bridge. It is not very nice looking because it is a bit too big, but I can just undo it and maybe lower the size of this, like let's say 4, and 1.5. Perform operation. All right, this is better. So you see, in just a few clicks, I have a natural bridge above the canyon, which is very interesting. Great. All right, so let's say now I want to create something even more interesting. I created the spline, this spline, which is a path, and here I want to actually create tunnels when it is under the surface, and I want to create bridge when it is above the surface. I will actually do this by using two splines, this one and the second one, which is exactly the same. I just duplicated the spline by doing right-click duplicate, and I just put it at a lower altitude. I will use this one to dig tunnels and this one to create the bridge. Let's see how it works. So, spline operation, I just select the path, and what I want to do is to dig some tunnels. So let's say I want a perfect radius of, yes, 4 is good, why not? Opacity, let's put 1, and I want to use a rock texture. Perform operation along the spline. All right, so it created the tunnels here and here, and it go outside here. All right, so I have my tunnels, but I don't have the bridge. To create the bridge, I will just select the other spline, the one that is below the first one. So let's put it here. Okay, and now I will select the add operation. I want to use a rounded cube, and I want to use lower height, and let's pick up the rock texture again. I will just click on perform operation along the spline, and you will see something quite surprising at first. Okay, it created something, but you see, it surprisingly, it has a hole here. That's because the previous operation, the dig operation, already affected the voxels that are along the way. So I will actually just need to click multiple times on perform operation until I get exactly what I want. So I clicked a second time, and now it's a lot better, and that's actually well, that's actually pretty good. I have, you see, I have a path that the player can walk on, and it goes through below the tunnels, and well, in a few clicks, I have something that is very interesting in terms of level design. Of course, I don't want this this part, so I will just reset it. All right, and the reset operation is a bit like it is not very gentle. So generally, when you use the reset operation, after that you want to smooth things a bit like this. All right, now I already have what I want, and I can paint some grass. Okay, perfect, great. Well, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you appreciate it. Don't hesitate to come on Discord if you have any question and if you need any help using the tool. Thank you very much.